Hi everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good night or good evening depending on where you are joining us today. So my name is Erkan Suçular and here I am again with you and I am very excited to share a very good lesson with you. So today I have some news, a new methodology that I want to use with my lessons. So I just purchased this, writing pen and also writing tablet, so I could basically show you, some real-time sketches while I'm going to give lesson. And because of this, I am very excited. So I may do some mistakes and do some, complex things, etc. Just because I'm just trying to learn also to use this tablet while I do, these lessons. So I may a little bit, cause some trouble. So I apologize for this in advance, but I hope that you will enjoy this lesson. So today I'm again in my office in Wollerau, Switzerland, and today is a very cold day outside. It's like I think almost -3 degrees. So it snowed during the whole night, but outside is now like very white and therefore also a little bit sunny today somehow, and therefore here it's coming a lot of light inside, and which also creates a good atmosphere to work with my colleagues here, because although it's cold outside, it's at least not a dark day and we enjoy quite a lot to be here today. So today's subject is basically how you design your continuous delivery and deployment pipeline. And before I deep dive, about the details of this lesson, I want to give you a little bit idea, what in the first place DevOps differentiates from other software development and delivery frameworks, and then step by step we'll deep dive other details. So let's get started. So before we move forward, as per usual, I make my video a little bit smaller, so you'll have a little bit more room to discuss together. Okay, you can still see me, you can also still see my screen. That's great. Oh, it is my video. Oh, I forgot something. So I told you already I might do some mistakes, and I think I forgot making this video, stay always on the top. Okay, float to top. Great. Yes, it must stay on the top of the screen while I still can draw something. Great. Oh, you see, we solved the problem on the top of my head. So this is the good thing, being agile DevOps organization by ourselves. We are okay with all these troubles and problems. We are happy with this experimentation, but the idea is also to transfer you this mode of operandi, so you can also try and learn on your own job. Okay, so let's make this pen size a little bit smaller. Let's make it test right. Ooh, very nice. Great. I hope it's readable. Maybe I should make it slightly thicker. Oh, great. I think this is a better thickness. Great. Let's get started. So basically, today my goal is to a little bit show you how development works in a typical organization which doesn't use DevOps yet. So let's get started. Let's say in a typical organization, you have here one developer friend. And then this developer friend is quite happy with the job quality, with the food in your restaurant. So it's a lot of details. A happy developer, and then another happy developer, and this is also quite educated person, studied in one of the top universities. Just started in her career. So let's make this a lady friend of ours, so he's a developer, and we also need some hairstyle for for our developer friend. Okay, it's a little bit complex here. Okay, let's make it okay. And then the point is, each of these developers, have their own code branches, right? They basically have their own code branch, and then so here this is, let's say, Mike has his own code branch. And then also, let's say, Janet has also her own code branch. So these are code branches, and they keep on working. And Janet checks in code here, and then Mike's, keep on checking. And the problem is, at some stage, this code needs to be integrated, right? Because Mike and Janet are basically working on the independent piece of code. And then what happens is, both of them, work like, let's say, 30 days, spend time on this code, Mike. And then Janet is also another 30 days. And then after 30 days, what they try to do is they basically, bring these code pieces together in another, in another code branch. Let's see, this is a code branch. And then here, we try to bring all of them together and then give this to our friends who are in the QA team. So basically here they have a quality assurance team, they have their own machine and everything, and here it's our tester friend, let's say James. James is also a very likable person, very, socializes with everyone. He's also has like long hair, so this is James, and loves what he does, but kind of he has also some troubles, because the reason is, until this code merged together, Mike's and Janet's codes, they have never been tested and they have never been integrated, and now they put them together, they checked and then they give it to QA, and then unfortunately James see this code and it doesn't work anymore, and therefore James is no longer happy, and James start kind of crying and doesn't happy about the situation, and then sends the system back to the development team because it doesn't work. So this is a horrible situation that we have in all of our companies, right? And then the worst thing is, after this thing, like let's say many times, these cycles, test fail cycles. At some stage, James is quite tired, of course, but then in the end, okay, he gives yes, okay, this is working at some degree, because things will move on. And James say, okay, then this comes to our development, the operations team, and here we have our operations team. They also have their own desk, their own systems and everything, their operations team. And here we have like our friend, let's say this time Jane. So Jane is responsible with the operations team. Jane is a quite, lovely girl, does what she does, loves what she does, etc. But the thing is, there's nothing against Jane, but like most of the operations people in our companies, Jane also doesn't know what kind of operating system she needs to use, operating system version. She doesn't know DB version, what he needs to deploy this production. Doesn't know, what are dependent APIs, and their versions and frameworks and all these versions, and then everything. It's a big mess here, and then this thing puts in production, and then there is let's take another color very quickly. If I can at all, maybe I should use a mouse for a minute. Okay, let's take a reddish color to basically express the large fire here before this thing goes to production. Okay, there is one flame over here, and then it's really bad situation. There's a big fire because this thing is no longer deployable, and this is a very big trouble that we have at the moment. And DevOps basically brings some solutions to sort out this sort of problem. So before I will basically summarize what the solutions are, I will basically, as per usual, walk through you with my training document. But before we deep dive it, let me also give you some brief ideas how you should sort this out. So maybe I should also start showing some material in the meanwhile. Okay, so basically the solution of this problem is basically in a nutshell, it's a trunk based development in combination with continuous integration and continuous deployment and delivery. So as you already know, we have a deployment pipeline, right? So if you don't know yet what deployment pipeline is, I think you should go to the previous lessons to understand what deployment pipeline is. But just in a nutshell, deployment pipeline is, if you imagine your organization as a factory. So you want to build something, right? You have the blueprint, and then you have the conception, and then you design, and you build, and then you test, and you continuously deploy, and all these activities, this workflow, can be seen like a pipeline. And here with DevOps, your goal is to be able to enable a continuously working deployment pipeline. And if there is a problem in this flow, in this pipeline, your priority is to raise a red flag and then tell everyone, team, we need to sort out this issue, because before you solve this issue, and if you further move with your development activities, then your problem will get only bigger, which is not really so ideal. So what you do is you have a trunk, and trunk basically called in some it's called by some developers main branch in your code version control system. Its main branch, it's also so-called trunk, is basically your single truth of your organization about your operating system, deployables or database deployables, your APIs, your frameworks, your scripts and everything, and also of course including your code, everything that builds your system, but also everything that builds your architecture, which to generate, a test server, an additional, staging server, everything, and you have all these components and scripts and infrastructure as a code, bits and bytes, also in the trunk, and everything should be versioned and controlled and labeled and everything. And then what's actually in an ideal world, how Mike and Janet supposed to work is, instead of 30 days, so let's do some corrections here. Instead of 30 days, this cycle should be like daily cycle. Huh? Again, Janet also shouldn't work 30 days. She should be working only 1 day on this activity, and then every day they check in their code, and then here there is a deployment machine. Instead of this feedback loop should happen. So this is very important. I will say this two times. So instead of this feedback loop about quality should happen between James, our quality assurance friend, and Mike and Janet, our developer friends, this feedback loop should happen in the continuous integration system. So as soon as Mike and Janet check in their codes, the machine here should run all the test scripts which are related to these features that Mike and Janet has just developed, and all the past driven test case and everything that was put in the repository, that also should be run, and they are validated. And then this continuously integrated code should of course come to a quality assurance person to make some final quality assurance checks, and then James will be quite happy. So James will gain a new face, no longer a face that is unhappy. James will be extremely happy. You see how happy he is, because James now becomes a code with reasonable quality. Then he can really do some testing and then give feedback to the testers. What can be improved. Which parts of the software is is a little bit suboptimal user experience, so the developers can focus on these aspects instead of everything falls apart on James' machine and James is quite unhappy. This is quite important. And then, as our code repository contains everything, Jane now has an idea what operating system should use, what DB version is needed, what API and versions are dependent on this code, which frameworks are used. Everything is there. Jane is also extremely happy, because Jane is anyway, not working, independent from Mike and Janet. They are, in the same team. They are working together. They are interacting. When the code comes to Jane to be deployed in production, maintained in production, Jane anyway knows everything, and Jane basically, consultant, Mike and Janet, about the patch levels that they need to use in their operating systems. What are tips and tricks, to be able to make their DB design safe safe and secure, the security aspects of the APIs that they used or they are dependent on, or how they should, configure, the framework on development and, production systems and pre-production system and post-production environments and everything, everything is basically has been done by Mike, Janet and Jane and James, all together. So they have been, continuously, included in this total, set of activities, and therefore they have done a great job. And another, ways that to be able to secure these activities, between James and Jane is maybe, between, the quality assurance and, production deployment team is, maybe to use, gate commits. Instead of, here the idea is, Mike and Janet, makes a check and it directly comes to the, the continuous integration environment. But you can do a, additional layer of security, and, with this additional layer of safety net, Mike's and Janet's check-in, can be validated. And once they are fully confirmed, then they can go to the production environments. And here the idea is, Mike, Janet, James, and Jane see also the management of environments not a side activity that somebody is supposed to do, but they really see this part of their daily development, delivery and quality assurance and the operations activities, because environment is not only the tools that runs our software, they are the integral parts of our software that has to run all together. And therefore we have in a new definition of done, probably this is an important subject that we need to a little bit draw attention. You have a new definition of done, and your NIV, which is also known as DoD. Your DoD should now include, let's make a large arrow here. It's a little bit complex chart. I apologize about this in the very beginning. It includes the code has been delivered, code has been continuously tested, and also this code, the required environment pieces, scripting aspects, and everything dependent, all dependencies are also, as part of this, delivery cycle, all these dependencies also has been handled, and they are also part of the production system. And this is basically what, this is the component to ensure, the stability in your, pre-production, test and production environments. And this is very important that, this new, aspects such as, code is checked in, continuously, integrated, and then, environments and all concepts around it, the security aspects and everything that is related to this, check-in should be also deployed in your main trunk. And this is basically your new way of working. And these aspects, the last components that I said, the environment readiness, the scripting readiness, infrastructure as a code readiness should be part of your definition of done. This is very important. Okay, after I covered this this information with this sketch, which hopefully helped you to see everything in perspective, let me also cover my lesson now with this with the typical documentation that we usually use. Let's start with that. So my video is again a little bit here, so maybe make myself a little bit smaller. Okay, great, good. So in many organizations, probably including yours, developers do coding work in isolation, in separate code branches, like Mike and Janet does. Although this mode of operation deceivingly seems to foster individual productivity of your developers, it makes your team productivity and the overall quality of your organizational work suffer. Separate code branches make it difficult for you to merge codes from multiple developers. To integrate various different code pieces, make them work in harmony, and delivering benefits and features to your clients do usually require involvement of multiple developers, significant rework, solving conflicts, and that had to be solved long time ago. And your challenge gets bigger if you don't continuously integrate. Ironically enough, as merging codes is a challenging activity and tiring activity within code building cycles, Most development teams unfortunately merge their code before they deliver their applications to integration or user acceptance tester, which makes the problem even more visible and impactful. They make successful integration and quality of their joint coding work sole responsibility of quality assurance teams. This is not only ridiculous, but this also explains why we have difficulties to bring all components together, and this also explains why projects delays, project budget deficits skyrocket, team morale and motivation suffer, organizational goals and promises fall, and companies worldwide waste yearly about $600 billion. This is like 600, 3 zeros, and then 3 other zeros, and 3 other zeros. So it's really a lot of money as IT people we invest for non-planned and non-scheduled and non-budgeted activities. It's a big waste. Or let's say we can also call this not IT work, or we should also call this IT work or IT work around work. And how can trunk, or as we call this among us developers, main code branch based development help you? Your solution for this challenge is trunk, main code branch based development, in combination with continuous integration and test automation. Trunk-based development is a source control branching model where developers collaborate on code in a single branch called trunk. They resist any pressure to create other long-lived development branches. Trunk-based, so as I said here, Mike and Janet does no longer develop 30 days without stopping in isolation, but every day, ideally, it can be even maybe few hours, but ideally every day they check in their code. And trunk-based development is the key enabler of continuous integration and by extension continuous delivery. When your developers commit their changes to trunk multiple times a day, it becomes easy to satisfy the core requirement of continuous integration that all of your team members commit to trunk at least once every 24 hours. This ensures your code base is always releasable on demand and helps to make continuous delivery a reality. And here on the sketch, as you see, this blue arrow is your main trunk, which contains the code of everything. How to build your organization, including production environment, your software, your pre-production and production environment themselves, from scratch. Everything is needed, must be there. All the scripts that build environments, that creates the continuous integration. Don't see the continuous integration which works somewhere outside your own control. The setup of your continuous integration also must be in your own code repository. This is very, very, very critical. And continuous integration enables you to deliver your code in smaller chunks in deployable state. Furthermore, frequent check-ins from your developers enable small development and delivery batch sizes, which increase quality, make it easier to resolve problems and conflicts. Continuous integration with daily check-ins motivates your team to build deployable but still meaningful codes in smaller chunks without breaking integrity of continuous integration and continuous delivery frameworks. Updates in this common source code repository also provides mean and medium to you and to your team members for quick alignments, decisions and feedback. So this is the feedback loop that I was talking in the continuous integration platform. So instead of between quality assurance team and development team having a feedback loop, now the feedback loop is between machine and developer, and therefore as soon as developer checks in something, they see something is broken, and then they have the chance to quickly fix it before putting another brick on the top of already collapsed or collapsing brick. This is very key. If you think different from one of these major DevOps principles, the question you need to answer is, why would you add another code to a module which already has errors? This is a very good question that you need to answer in a quiet moment of yourself. You may have legitimate reasons, but let's make sure that you avoid technical debt and workarounds on the top of your errors or existing workarounds. This is very key to avoid technical debt. As I mentioned, technical debt is like financial debt. Once you enter out of this, enter in it, you limited options. You can't get easily out of it. Therefore, it's very important to keep your technical debt and workarounds on the top of the other workarounds as minimum as this possible to have a reasonable and reliable technical infrastructure and technical software engineering work. Obviously, great work. And gated commits is an additional layer of safety net for your trunk-based development. Alternatively, your DevOps team can also rely on gated commits, which further increase the quality and build another layer of safety net for your trunk. Each time a developer attempts to check in a code, test automation runs first to validate the code. Only after successful validation, the code is formally checked into your trunk. Use production-like environments in every stage of your software engineering value stream. One other typical challenge in many IT organizations is inconsistencies between production and pre-production environments. And in this pre-production environments like development, integration, and or testing environments. Inconsistencies between your configurations, versions, and patch levels of your operating systems, databases, third-party tools, and APIs would cause big problems, believe me. Or different versions of your own code scattered all over in various different production and production environments. This must be very familiar to you. Even very major differences in Java, virtual machine versions between your production and production environments can make or break your entire production deployment. Unless you have the full control of your environments, you know what they got inside. Unless you don't know what you have deployed in your production environments, you can never know what you will get in terms of quality of work from those environments. And therefore, please embrace environment management part of your daily software development and delivery work, and make sure it's embedded to your own work in your code repository and everywhere else during your engineering and working life cycle. Therefore, it's no-brainer that pre-production systems should be the replications of your production systems. You need to enable your team to create self-service environments on demand in automated manner in order to safely do their daily software engineering tasks in production-like environments. Your IT value stream in your organization does not only offer value with code of your software, but also with environments these codes are running. Both your development and operations specialists need to embrace the fact that your IT value stream constitutes two equally important building blocks. First, codes to build your software which serve value to your internal and external clients. Second, codes to build your pre-production and production environments to host your software. Use your single truth of truth, which is also called trunk, to control software and environments, also known as adapt infrastructure as code. With DevOps, tasks to build your pre-production and production environments are now part of your trunk, which is the purest definition of infrastructure as code. Instead of your isolated operation teams, which hardly know what the specifics of software your environment is supposed to host, your development and operations specialists work together to build your infrastructure as code. So remember the problem our operations friend had. She didn't have a clue about what kind of operating system she needs, what kind of DBA, what kind of JVM versions, API versions, or framework versions, so all these dependencies and everything. This makes her life far more difficult. But instead of being a traditional operations person, our operations friend should be now also a script writer, infrastructure as code writer, to be able to to build this production and pre-production systems together with the development teams. And in order to ensure code of your software and code of your environments are treated equally important, use your single source of truth to store the code of your software and as well as your environments. To be able to build your entire pre-production and production systems and your deployment pipeline, including its continuous integration and delivery frameworks, you and your team do not only store code of your software in version control system, but also you store required configurations, scripts, and anything required to build your end-to-end delivery chain. If you want to permanently change a configuration setting in a production environment or in a production environment, you do this change in your environment building scripts. So next time a DevOps team member of yours creates an environment, he or she wouldn't have to reinvent the wheel because you have already adapted the required the scripts which should do this job. Most of detailed documentations become anyway very quickly obsolete, so for you it will be absolutely a better investment to spend your energy to keep your environment building scripts up to date. This is mainly because without having self-service and on-demand environments, your cloud infrastructure will remain yet another underutilized hosting platform, and your DevOps initiative will be yet another underutilized process improvement attempt. You should be able to create entire production and pre-production environments from your trunk, from your version control system. With DevOps, it's easier and quicker to rebuild environments than fixing them. Manual changes in your environments are no longer allowed, strictly forbidden. Only code and configuration should rebuild, configure and launch your environment. This is very critical. You are from now onwards, if you are using DevOps, I forbid you to do any changes in your environments manually. Your environment building and configuration scripts and systems must be doing this. And now you have a new definition of done. Having your continuous delivery framework and deployment pipeline up and running, now you have a new definition of done. A task should now be classified as done when its associated client features and benefits are created from your trunk either automatically or with a one-click process. Tested in production-like environments with automated tests. This is what Mike and Janet has done before they sent the code to their user acceptance tester colleague James. And another criteria is bullet point 3, demonstrated in production-like environments. So we no longer accept any demonstration from a developer PC because we all have learned that whatever works in developer's PC only works in developer's PC. Therefore, it's quite important to do all these demonstrations in production-like environments. And then the fourth criteria of definition of done is your code is now ready to deploy, or even better, already deployed and running production-like environments. Again, either automatically or with a one-click process. Either it must be deployed either in 100% identical production-like environment or should be deployed to production environments. So the conclusion of this lesson. So with DevOps, integration of your code happens part of your daily work instead of in the end of your projects. Developers, operation teams, information security specialists endless times rehearse deployment of their work already during the course of software engineering lifecycle, which undoubtedly improves the chance of smooth live deployments where your real consumers or customers will be impacted, either internal or external. Higher business throughput, improved software and environment stability, higher job satisfaction, improved quality of your service to your internal and external clients will be also your other benefits as soon as you adopt continuous delivery. So this is a very key lesson. Today's lesson is very important to be able to make sure you adopt and use DevOps main principles. Good, very well done. Now I want to before we close this session, I want to briefly give you some ideas how you can also in your own time, keep on learning about our programs. And if you want to get a DevOps certification program, I will also demonstrate you how you can get it done. So basically, in order to register a DevOps certification program, what you're supposed to do is you click the register from the top right corner of our homepage. Then here the registration process is quite easy. You choose your program, and then here there is a basic form, and then you fill in this form, and then you click this button, and then you'll be diverted to the payment page. It's all done. But today, this is already a familiar process that maybe either from International Scrum Institute or from International DevOps Certification Academy. I'm sure you are familiar with this process. But what you may not be really familiar is now we also involve some free bonuses to our certification programs. And these bonuses are, number one, lifetime membership of Inner Circle. And the Inner Circle, so what is Inner Circle? The Inner Circle enables you to join our monthly live video conferences. This is different from the live video classes that we do. This monthly, Inner Circle calls are done between myself and between our students live. And in the sessions, I don't talk, but I only answer your questions. And you will basically ask, advice about your, ongoing DevOps initiative. You can ask, career advice, or you can ask, anything that you are curious about, software engineering processes and life cycles. And it will be only my pleasure to answer those questions. Of course, in such a session, in 1 hour, 2 hours interactive, Inner Circle call, I may not be able to cover all questions. And if this happens, me and myself work on your question in the background, and we will come to you with an answer. So we will be basically, making you happy about your work demands. And normally we sell this Inner Circle one session for only $199. There is even no lifetime membership of the Inner Circle, but if you now get a DevOps certification program, you will basically get your Inner Circle membership lifetime, and you will be invited to this monthly course to discuss about everything software engineering. So this is a great benefit. And then bonus number 2 is lifetime access to DevOps video training and all feature updates. We have been keeping on these videos up to date, and their retail value are like $500, $499, which we sell on our different offers. But now you have the free access to get this all this video content lifetime. Again, all updates for you free of charge available, and the retail value is like about $499. And another thing is lifetime access to DevOps training and all feature updates. You can access the training content from our web portal. Again, all feature updates will be free of charge available for you, and the retail value is about $199. And then the bonus number 4 is lifetime access to our DevOps Revealed book. This is a great book, the best written book in the market according to feedback we receive. Best, concise. You can learn all about DevOps, to get started your DevOps initiative from this book. Similar books in the market are sold like between $100 and $150, which are detailed books which will keep you up to date and trained and get started with the DevOps initiative. I am not talking about theoretical books. They are good, but they don't help you in practice. They won't get you started, but our content will help you get started, get understand, and you will see the clear difference between what you used to do with traditional either agile methods or waterfall, and what DevOps will improve your work on the top of this, and you will raise in your IT department, and you will basically be a hero with the help of our training and certification programs. You can make a retail registration if you want to, but we also have another offer which is basically 5 DevOps certifications of your own choice for only $497. And to access this offer, what you need to do is from the registration page, you see here do you want to immediately save hundreds of dollars? Once you see this, then you can read, if yes, click this direct link to save it the best discount for your 5 official DevOps certifications. And once you click this, then you come to our page. This offer is very limited, so that we will basically take this page down today. And here the idea with this offer is you will, again, all the bonuses are included. Lifetime membership of Inner Circle, month to value is like $200, but you will have it free. Bonus number 2, lifetime access to all DevOps video training material and all feature updates. Retail value is like $500, and bonus number 3, lifetime access to DevOps training portal and all feature updates, and retail value is like $200. You will have it free of charge, lifetime access. And then bonus number 4, our DevOps Revealed book and all feature updates free of charge. Retail value is $49 even without updates, but you will have it now lifetime free of charge with you. And with this best discount, here you have your chance to basically check a number of programs. You see, once I click this buttons here in the bottom, you see select 2 more. It warns me, and then I choose 5 of them. Let's say the 5 programs that I've chosen, the total list price normally would be like $845. And now with the 5 DevOps certifications of my own choice, I'm allowed to get this 5 programs for only $497, and I'm immediately saving $348. Again, the rest of the form is quite easy, my email, name, and then my last name and everything, my company name. If you are unemployed or if you are between jobs, don't worry about it. Simply enter, NA, and then you choose your country, and then your billing address, and then your credit card number. And then once you click register 5 certifications for $497, we'll be emailing your exam access code immediately, and all of your access to, the inner circle membership calls, the lifetime access to video material of our great video trainings that you are already part of it, lifetime access to our training portal, and lifetime access to our DevOps build book, and all of this will be part of your DevOps purchase if you decide to go with these 5 programs. As I said, we will take down this page in like 1 day in order to not to miss this offer. I encourage you to take action now and then grab this great offer. DevOps will be like becoming the next generation of agility, because there is a big problem with agile and Scrum, and the problem is basically with Scrum the idea is to deliver shippable code in the end of each sprint, but unfortunately Scrum doesn't give the answer how to ship the code. And with DevOps, the answers of how to ship the code, how to create your environments and pre-production and production environments, with scripting, infrastructure as a code, everything that we discussed during this lesson today, remember, are part of DevOps. Therefore, DevOps will bring you not only a shippable code, but it will enable you to ship the code. Therefore, DevOps is the next version of agility, and the best proof of this DevOps will be the next version of agility is now the organizations such as Google, Amazon, Netflix, Spotify, or Facebook, all other, startups in Silicon Valley are now, building their infrastructures and their IT processes based on DevOps. This is the proof that, DevOps will come later to every other company, every other mid-size, big-size, corporate, and everywhere. And I really urge you to build yourself in DevOps. Even you don't basically give attention to our certification programs, you should at least learn about, you should look at our training content to be able to build yourself in DevOps. But in case you want to get worldwide valid and recognized, trusted by tens of thousands companies, hundreds of thousands individuals, you can check our credentials and testimonials from our webpage. We have great feedback, and in social media a lot of great feedback we receive. If you don't want to miss this great offer, 5 certifications for only 5 certifications of your own choice for only $497. Let's take action now. Become an action taker. Don't be a person that touch the information and then forget about them, but become a doer, become an action taker, and join our programs today. And I am really confident that you will basically enjoy what you will read, what you will see, and we will make sure that we will do everything we can in your own journey. As we are creating great customer service. We keep on receiving perfect feedback. As our operations team is the world's best team in terms of providing great quality education and user journey. And this is one of our unique selling points, to make sure that we offer the best education server in the world. Try to send other providers an email or try to call them, etc. You will see that you won't get a competent answer if you get an answer at all. But for every question and support request we receive, we take our time to make sure that we serve you as best as we can. And this is what differentiates us from our competition, and this is what makes us a worldwide, valid, recognized, proven company that offers great service to their students. And I hope you will be also able to help you, and you will enjoy our programs. And for now, I wish you a great day and take care. Bye bye from Switzerland.